Oh, and you have been fooled, people.
Rise and
Rise and shine,
shine.
people.
It's Chip and Taylor.
It's Chip Matthews and Taylor Turcottee on WYAB 6 a.m. Here we
Bright and
go,
early.
6:07 a.m.
Up before the sun is.
Let's hear those feet hit the floor.
Rise
Yeah.
and shine, porcupine.
So,
Good morning, Chip.
good morning.
How are you liking this early morning?
Oh, I love it. You
Do you like it?
It's sort of like staying up all night
Kind of.
and coming in without the hangover
Yeah.
from back in the day.
I feel like I've gotten back to my pre-political lifestyle doing this early in the morning. I had a shift. One night I was on the phone very late with 3 politicians trying to get them all on the same rowing boat, and we were up late.
Rowing boat.
Yes, I had Thomas Griffin, Carl Boyington, and Brian Flowers all on the phone trying to get them to all run the same game plan as far as their campaign.
Oh,
And we were on the phone until like midnight.
yeah.
And I've never been before the sun up. Used to be, before politics, I was up at 5 a.m. every morning.
Oh, right.
And they took me off that schedule.
Right. Are you up or were you getting in?
No, I was up every morning at like 5 a.m. with a cup of coffee going out in my garden.
Okay. Well, let's remind everybody what's going on. There's going to be a lot of people talking about this today.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start off with Clay will be on at 7 this morning. Hey, Good will be at 10. We're going to be doing our show at 9.
Are we doing our regular?
I suppose.
Okay.
I got to hear my intro.
Okay.
And then Kim Wade at 4.
Gotcha.
But the big thing today is going to be a lot of talk about the St. Patty's Parade Massacre.
Yeah.
I have named it. I have named it.
Yep.
So
we had a fight in front of the governor's mansion and a shooting.
And those are the only ones we found so far. There's going to be other stuff. And the shooting, which happened later in the evening, which everybody's blaming on St. Patty's Day, which you could, but the problem is that corner is like that all the time. And people don't realize it. Yeah. And it just got more publicity because it was St. Patty's Day.
Right.
But that corner, that's the corner that Jody Owens has his place on the corner. And I think that, and I understand that the mayor has a piece of that bar on the corner. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that corner and the way people run bars and restaurants in the downtown area.
Right.
Need help. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about in this core of the city, not up on the top.
Right. We're talking in downtown, which is part of my ward.
I mean, and you got to.
Well, you start party. The parade starts at noon and the shooting was 9?
Yeah.
Late at night. I mean, 9 hours later after a parade, nothing good's happening. But we had a fight in front of the governor's mansion, and it's women. And last week, Friday night, there was a big fight in the street in front of Last Call.
Right.
Our ladies in Jackson, girls, y'all need to stop. Y'all need to get some class.
I have been watching some of the Benny videos that are circulating from the girl fights.
Right.
I think we need to outlaw wig shops in Jackson.
No.
If we outlaw wig shops and people quit messing up with the hair.
No, ladies,
you're messing up my hair.
We need to class it up and start using your tongues to use words instead of fists to solve your problems.
Okay, you're almost.
I know.
Dove off into the deep
but
end there.
I meant more of use your words instead of your fists.
Right.
Ladies.
Yes.
It's never classy to.
And then I saw that. Did you see the video of the big girl booty rolling?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that I don't know what that is. I know that's the way people dance today.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the waltz?
Whatever
happened to the twist?
Ladies, let's develop some class. You can. I mean, it doesn't matter what you've done before. You can always, with a snap of the finger, start displaying some class and stop the fighting and pulling the clothes off of each other and chasing each other.
And I'm probably going to get run out of the world for this. You heavyset women. It's not pretty. No matter what anybody's telling you, it's not pretty. Quit wearing the yoga pants.
The leggings.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, they're leggings.
Ladies,
I say don't stop wearing the leggings and yoga pants. Just wear a shirt that covers your hindquarters.
Well, that girl that was in the booty roll looked like she was panties up in a t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God! And
Yeah.
I watched it from the beginning to the end.
Why am I not surprised by that?
And then, well, I was trying to find something in the picture that would let me know that it was Jackson. So
The governor's mansion behind you?
No, I'm
did
talking about
not-
the girl dancing.
Oh, the girl
The
dancing.
girl dancing.
Oh,
The one with the governor's mansion in the background and the city of Jackson sign that's painted on the side wall
Yep.
and this, that, and the
Yep.
other. There was a
Yep.
fight over there by that one. That's a
Yep.
street over
Yep.
from the governor's mansion.
That's
That-
right on State Street.
Yeah, no, that's
It faces State Street, doesn't it?
Pearl.
Pearl. Okay.
Pearl Street coming down right in front of the Jackson sign.
Well,
There was a good fight there.
yeah.
And I mean, the problem is, and it's the culture of the event has changed from its original. I mean, when it began, y'all, the very first one was over at George Street.
Yep.
Malcolm and them, they had a few convertibles.
Right.
Sweet Potato Queens got in there
Right.
and did their thing. And, I knew a bunch of them, and it was over in 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it wasn't a thing, but it built from that.
Right.
And it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when fire was open, we were going, but then they started letting. See, I think the businesses need to be allowed. I don't believe that they should do the vendors in the crowd.
Right.
And they shouldn't let people just set up and grill on the side of the road. Those are, that's, they don't have permits.
Okay.
And they're over there, they'll be set up and there'll be a guy doing this and selling beer out of his ice chest, this, that, and the other. And everybody acts like, no, that's not right. And then the vendors that they do allow in there, I just think it should be, you've got enough restaurants and bars in the area that they could supply the food to those people.
Yeah.
But when you turn, but see
but a lot of people, I know that some of my friends pull in their big RVs and back them up and there's a huge party right there across from Hallamals that are adults throwing parties.
Right. But that didn't used to be that way. And that city property, who's renting them that space?
No, nobody. I remember we had like Beer City one year where a dude came in with his tap truck from Yazoo Beer.
I know. I mean, there's so much you can do. And but see, when you start having these amateur parties everywhere, in a city where the culture has changed in the area.
Right.
Because at one time, not everybody went.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
And now it has evolved into let's go look.
Isn't it the third biggest? I know
it's always been
10 years ago. It was.
It's always been the second or third biggest St. Patty's Day parade
in the country.
In the country, people.
Right.
And Tiny Tim, who sings on our show, he was a
marshal.
Marshal once.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I did not go this year. Just didn't have it in me this year. I went last year for a quick.
They're killing us out at the restaurant. I mean, they're trying to.
Are they?
People are coming in all hours wanting food, and that's a good thing if you own a restaurant. It's a great thing,
especially pizza after a parade.
Oh, geez. Oh, they started. Oh, it was all night. It was all night.
Oh goodness.
But anyway.
Well.
And all day yesterday too.
Wow.
I didn't think I'd make it this morning.
Wow. And here you are.
Here I am. Okay,
I'll spry on the radio.
So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the fight in front of the governor's mansion.
Okay.
But we got to take a commercial break first.
All right.
Okay. We'll be back here, the Chip Matthews Show with Taylor Turcottee filling in on the
at the 6 o'clock hour.
What's this guy? Matt Bishop show, and it's also kind of a test run.
Yeah,
there's rumor that we may be taking over this shift every day.
Trying out a new one. Yep.
So let us know if you got something on your mind. Give us a call.
Yep. 601-9. Never mind.
Mama told me not to come.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. This is Chip Matthews with the Chip Matthews Show, along with Taylor Turcottee.
Good morning.
Your normal 9 o'clock
Rise and
buddies.
shine, everyone.
Rise and shine. Let's get out
Sun's
and do it.
still
Remember
not up
7
yet,
o'clock?
But we are.
7 o'clock. Clay Edwards will be in. I want to say hello to. Let me go to our comments. We got like 9 comments. Let's see. Good morning to Ricky Gray, Scott Staples. Let's see. Anita Ford. Oh God, there's a Tammy Culpet. Anita Ford Summerall. I mean, it's.
Well, good morning, everyone.
And everybody's just looking at it. They can hear me now. They said, yeah, when we're on break, you can't hear me. But because we don't speak.
We speak private things.
Yes. But anyway, let's congratulate the Ole Miss Rebels. I know Clay will forget to do that this morning. And I just thought I'd do that for him.
Okay.
The Ole Miss men's team and the women's team have made it to the Sweet 16.
Nice.
Now I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb.
Okay.
Ole Miss is going to win it all.
Okay.
Okay. Just going ahead and say that.
What sport are we playing?
We're playing basketball. And we swept in baseball this weekend against Missouri. We swept.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow,
and then
Rebels are doing well.
And then Chris Davis, our news director, and also the host of the Blues and Arts Hour. We got first place in the best radio talk show in Mississippi.
I saw that.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Quality work.
Quality.
And you can see him performing live
right
at Acme Pizza.
And you can hear him on the news every time, can't you?
Yeah. He comes up on the news at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And he's not going to toot his own horn and say he won that award, but I will.
Congratulations.
The show is excellent. Yes, sir.
Yay.
Okay, so let's go back to the St. Patty's Day parade. Oh, well, it's not the day parade. And everybody said St. Patty's Day. It's always the fourth. The parade is always the fourth Saturday.
Yes,
in
and
March.
It is Howell's.
It's Howell's now. It used to be Miles.
Now he renamed it
Howell's. And
I loved Howell.
I
always worked the kitchen. I always had C section, so I was standing there with.
Well, he always
with Hal in the kitchen.
He used to come up and have choice words for me at fire.
Oh yeah.
He would say, "Excuse me,
prickly.
Chip, there is no parking out here because your crowd is too big." Okay, I moved He said, "You moved your concert up an hour before my concert." And I go, "Correct." Where I would, why did you do that? Where I would have parking. Because in the business district, you're allowed to park wherever.
I know.
And see, and so when we talk about the bar scene in Jackson, let's say, for instance, you've talked about the fight over at in front of Last Call.
Right.
And then you always have them in front of M Bar.
Yep.
These bars that are not in the central business district.
Right.
Should have laws that are being performed on them that says your parking regulates the number of people you can have in your building. You start putting the right in. If you don't have the parking, like over there at M Bar, they block up the parking lot where you have to be VIP, super VIP.
Right. And they park all in the home goods.
Yeah, they park everywhere else and leave trash everywhere else. And then but the deal is your occupancy is tied to your parking unless you're in the central business district.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So number one, to get a hold of these things, you need to first come up with what would be great in Jackson is if we had a business district that was for bars and restaurants.
Right.
That way you would locate most of them in that area.
Yep. And
you'd be able to have let's say if you have precinct 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'd have a swing precinct that handled the party district.
Hey, good idea. My party district.
Okay. And that way, and
set
then
me up some plans.
And then you go a step further and you say each one of those in that district, hire a JPD officer or a sheriff.
Sheriffs.
Okay. So then let's say if you have 10 or 15 bars in the area,
then
you have 10 or 15 sheriffs in there. Plus you have the swing patrol that's in the area.
Nice.
And you can now control the culture. Now, the next thing you got to do is anytime there's an event, and this is just the way it's going to be in Jackson. This is the way I'm thinking about as mayor of Canton, how I'm going to handle the kids with guns.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I think, and I mean, I got to look into what is law, but we've got to go back to tough love.
We do.
And we've got to arrest these 14-year-olds that run around with guns.
We do.
Then we got to go arrest their parents. And you arrest your parents and you say, this is what it is.
Yep. Somebody's got to be held responsible.
You know, these are your kids, and they're out at 2:00 in the morning shooting guns.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've got, I mean, it's got to get, you've got to get that tough on it.
Yep.
In order to
one
end
or the
it.
well, in Jackson, it's going to be one or the other, either the kid or the parents going. Because in Jackson, I think that there are some parents who they can't control their kids because all the kid has got to do is walk out the door and is going to be in trouble. So, I mean, some of the parents.
Well, I mean,
some of the parents are trying to do their job and can't, and then there are other parents who are not doing their job at all.
The way you would handle that to keep the parent off the schneid, the parent would report when their kids have disappeared from their house.
Exactly.
And so there would be a call log.
Exactly.
Of we called because we can't control our kid.
Yep.
So the parents wouldn't get arrested in that case.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The parents can either say our kid needs help us, or get control of your kid, one or the other.
That's the only thing we can do. Exactly. We have to get control.
We do.
And we have to work on changing the culture of what we're looking at.
We do.
So, for instance, you know, part of my thing is we are all basically Christians here in Mississippi. Most of us.
Yes.
Okay.
I would agree.
We don't always act that way. But we all hope that our end game in life is that we go to heaven.
Correct.
Okay. So now we look at what's going on now in your life to when you die.
Right.
And you've got to clean everything up around it. I'm not saying going out and thump your Bible, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying work on making your life better.
Get right with the Lord, I think is what.
Well, along with getting right with the Lord, get right with anything that is wrong in your world. You have got to fix it.
Yep.
So you don't want to run for office? Then go vote.
True.
Okay. That's one of the many things.
True.
When they come, you know, it's like, for instance, we got a guy up in Canton running for mayor, and he says, I get out and clean my district every week. No, you have people that have been hired to clean your district every week. Why don't you make sure they go out and clean the district?
Paid to do
and then the person you should be getting on to is the mayor.
Yes.
When the mayor doesn't get it done, the alderman or the councilman are supposed to tell them, excuse me,
get it done.
You're getting the bigger paycheck. Your job is CEO of the city, and you're not doing your job.
Yep.
Get it fixed.
Yep.
And and then we work on changing the culture. And I mean, I hear Kim talking about all the 503Cs and all that in Jackson that run the city and all of this. But the reality is,
the sister that runs all of her.
Everybody is just basically going for the grift, going for the money.
Yeah, everybody's running wild.
Now I had a friend of mine, a house burned down next to him, and his house got torched, and they had to pull off his meter and everything at his house.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the Red Cross came out, gave him cards, carried him to this was in Clinton, gave him cards, a credit card to go move into a hotel, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And took care of him.
Okay.
That is good. That is what we need to be doing. Okay.
Right.
But when we have a 503C that's blah, 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 and they're piling up water and food and this, that, and the other for what? And then they have too much and they have to give it out all the time. And then the lines show up.
Yep.
It's good and it's bad.
Well,
but the reality is
the person who lives next door, whose house got torched by no fault of their own, needs help from everybody. Now, the person who burned their house, did it burn because of their fault? Because of,
no, I mean, it was something bad happened. And of course, someone passed away.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
you know, but that's just
right.
That is houses catch on fire and things like that happen.
It does.
And it was in Clinton and it was in a better area.
And so thankfully that was not, but a lot of times you have stuff that is you have something that's caused by somebody that they.
Well, yeah. And in Jackson, you're looking at what? I can go take you to some blocks. There's one good house and 5 burnout houses.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to be, and when you're in your neighborhood and houses catch on fire and this and stuff like that happens, your next step is to call your councilman and say, when are we going to take care of that?
Right.
Because in South Jackson, if they had taken down every burnt house right after it happened, it would be a clean slate out there.
It would be.
it would everybody look like they lived on a farm. There'd be one house and we
And
own
an
the
empty
block.
block.
We own the block.
Well, I mean, a lot of properties in Jackson need to be taken down like that.
I mean, but that's what your situation is. You got a burned
Right.
out city, and you can't rebuild because money doesn't feel safe going there because
Because nobody there has respect for what they have right now. Everybody who had respect for themselves in Jackson is leaving, and we are left with people who don't have any respect for themselves or for their property.
I mean, people abandon property and they say, you can take it for the
You can have
taxes.
it.
I can have it.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't matter if they could get 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 40,000. They had 150, 200,000 in it before. And they just said,
and
I'm out of here.
Imagine what would happen if we could come in and clean up some of those lots, and we could bring in some of the Katrina cottages and put people back in where they're not living in squalor in Jackson, Mississippi. It'd be really easy to pop little modular homes.
But what we need to be looking at is beyond Katrina homes.
We do.
Okay.
Well,
because what you need to do is come back and have people that would invest money into the area to make gated communities and you start building them back.
Or not even gated communities. You get people that want to move back into their communities and rebuild their communities to where you don't need gates on them anymore.
If you don't have gates on them, while you're changing the culture, it's like you got to have it for a little while.
Okay.
It's sort of like tariffs.
Okay.
It's sort of like the tariffs.
Okay.
We're going to if you got a $200 tariff, we're going to have a $200 tariff. Now it's even.
Good fences make good neighbors. Is that kind of where we're going? That's true.
Okay.
Right.
We're going to take a break here and we'll be right back here with Chip Matthews and Taylor Turcottee on WYAB. And we're back to the Free and Equal Show. Chip Matthews here along with Taylor Turcottee.
We are kind of free and equal.
Yes, we got to get some bumper
Half and
music
half.
for 6 a.m. 6 a.m. bumper music.
Yep.
Need something like Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
I like my Firewoman.
Firewoman?
Why
Yeah.
can't-
I will always,
that's my favorite song. One of my favorite songs
I know.
from The Cure.
I know.
I mean, The Cult.
Thank
Excuse
you.
me.
The Cure.
The Cure was on this morning on 90s.
Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me.
No, it was I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of they were playing it in the 90s, but I'm like, no, that's an 80s. That's actually an 80s song, not 90s.
Okay, so once again, let's remind everybody that Ole Miss and State both played in the tournament.
Okay.
State lost, and Ole Miss is going, and the men and the women are going in the Sweet 16 next weekend.
Nice.
It'd be great to get 2 national championships at Ole Miss this year in basketball.
Would it?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
But anyway, I digress.
I will cheer for you when you get there.
Lost Rabbit residents oppose development. They're asking PRV to allow a 3-acre lot subdivision to build for 4 residential housing units. Okay. I mean, in Madison County and in places like that, it's almost like the people that own the property. Let's say if you're already in an area, you'll go argue with the supervisors or PRV or somebody like that.
Right.
And you don't, although you show up with 200 people, like in Lake Caroline, they showed up with half the Lake Caroline to oppose a gas station. And the supervisors, we don't care. We're just going to approve it.
Oh, see.
And they go, well, you're going to court. Well,
how important is your vote?
The vote is so important. But the problem really lies with this state legislature. They have not. Okay, so they passed their tax bill.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, they passed
with a typo, I think, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a typo in it?
I'm sure there was. The part where you were saving us money.
Yeah.
Did
you put shell game in parentheses?
Shell game. But anyway, they feel like they've done something. They said, we're going to get rid of it. I don't think I will see the tax refund, no income tax in my lifetime, except for the one that Trump's going to do for everybody under $150,000.
Right.
That pretty much makes everybody in Mississippi just filing a Mississippi return. There'll be no national return, just a Mississippi return.
Excellent.
I mean, but
let's get it done.
But the reality is, I mean, we need roads and bridges, and we need things. And
we pay roads and bridges when we.
But my question is, they took the money from roads and bridges in the tax bill,
right,
and moved it over to cover PERS.
Great.
So what?
So
now instead of PERS being underfunded, they got to make sure they take care of themselves.
Right.
And what they did is they kicked the can down the road 1,000,000 times. And this is the same thing that would have happened if they passed the Medicaid expansion. You're moving money around to prop up the shelf. It's like if you had a tent, the pole here, and you got a pole here, and you got a pole here.
Yep.
You broke, people.
Yep.
Spend less.
Yep.
That's kind of how it works. The government, you only have the tax dollars you collect from Mississippians, and you have an estimate on what you believe it's going to be.
Right.
Don't spend more than that.
Right.
Now, for instance, it goes back to, like, I heard somebody talking about what we were talking about. For every dollar we send to help fund the federal government, we get $2.48 back. And I heard people talking about this in other states, and I was just sitting there going, okay, so if you don't have the printing machine to print more dollars, then you wouldn't be going over budget.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, but if we're sending $1 to fund the government, a portion of that should be actually funding the government.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do you put in $1 and get $2.48 back?
And how do you look at your person and say, well, you gave me $1, but I'm going to give you $2 back. I'm not stealing from you, but I'm stealing from somebody else to give to you. I mean, we as people are kept so in a days because there's so much going on around us that we can't even
And it's like all you
understand
people,
common sense.
the people that don't understand crypto.
Yep.
This is what you shouldn't understand.
Right.
Crypto makes more sense than government dollar turning into $2.48. We would all be investing in the government.
Yeah.
If we could get 150% back on our money.
Well, but we're also starting with the fact that they actually do give us back that 2 and whatever back.
Right.
I think that's basically probably just a lie to shut us up because I mean,
no, because you've seen Benny has been on the air complaining about all the money that has been pulled out of these 503c companies.
Right.
That are, I mean, they mean to do well, but they're not they're being funded by the government. They're not
do well on your own dollar, not on the tax dollar.
Right. It is not. You're not opening. I mean, he's made it a thrift store for you to get all the money you want.
Right.
But the reality is, if you start a charity, and like for this morning, let's say, for instance, we were going to collect coats for people or bikinis for people this summer where they could go to the pool and look good.
Right.
We would just start asking for them. We wouldn't call the government and say, look, we need to get some seed money for our bikinis for the summer campaign.
Right.
And they give us 20,000 bikinis. No, the way it's been working, they would have said, okay, well, you deserve a grant.
Right.
So we'll give you $453 million out of the fund.
Yes, Chip. But the problem
and then
also
we'll use that to beautify the beaches of Mississippi with those bikinis.
But what we're also finding out, or I want to say saw yesterday, is that they're actually writing checks. They set this off and they give you beach beautification money 10 years ago, and they start writing and sending a check, and it never stops.
That's right.
It keeps going, and it's almost like they set a top off. And it's just running and nobody's paying attention. So all of these people have been getting salaries for 10 and 15 years that shouldn't have gotten all these salaries for 10 and 15 years. This is probably why people are vibrating, is because they're scared to death that people are about to find out they've been.
And the Democrats and a few rhino Republicans are all about funding these things because all they care about is the money in their pockets.
They do.
We've got to get down to having people, like, for instance, it's too late now to save the city. Okay.
Of Jackson?
I'm saying, for instance, we're going to vote in this election.
Right.
And out there are some people that needed to run for councilman.
Right.
Because you can't change your councilman unless more people run.
Right. Well, we have, and
you see what I'm saying?
To the crowd.
I know
choir in Jackson.
You're running.
Well, no, I'm in Jackson. We have plenty of everyday people stepping up.
But we need more
across the
and
board,
more.
other.
You need, and like in Ridgeland,
right?
You got one person stepping up. Pat Truesdale is primarying one of their aldermen.
Yep.
And then right now they're just dead set on getting and I saw where they passed a TIF. I don't know if you know what a TIF is. It's really kind of deferred.
Out there.
It's kind of deferred taxes, and until one TIF's paid back, you get another one. And they gave a TIF to the people that are building more buildings right there next to Costco and all that.
Okay.
So that'll cut out other people from getting a TIF because you only got is the way it works. It's unique, but we've had people walk out on TIFs and never pay them back. I mean, in Canton, they did a TIF to build the road to get to the Walmart, and the Walmart road was a temporary road, and then they never went back and fixed it, and we never got our money back for the TIF.
Right.
And it also happens.
And nobody cares because they're spending the taxpayers' money. It's not their own money, so they just let it go. It's not worth the hassle.
Correct.
Yes.
It's like when they employ Mike Espy to be the supervisor's attorney. And he gets 1% of every bond issue that passes. 1%, and I mean and you're looking at all the stuff that's being built up there. Yep. I mean,
and this leads me to one thing I want to talk about this morning, and that is Jackson elections for mayor. And we've got to. Last week, Malcolm Johnson came on and Kim's show and said, we're going to push everybody to vote for John Horn. Well, I am putting out a call for all Republicans to go vote for David Archie in the Democratic primary for Jackson, because I'm sorry, but we do not need another politician running Jackson.
Right. We don't need.
We do not need another politician. And if there's one man in the Democratic primary, now there are a couple of other good ones like James Hopkins that I like. That's a good guy, and Tim Henderson also that I would not shame away from or tell someone not to vote for, because he's
Well, you're
I
gonna
think, a
wind up
good
with
man as well. But Chokwe and John Horn are not the two chances that need to be in the runoff.
Chokwe doesn't need to be a
Chokwe
chance at
needs
all.
to be out.
But the reality should be in the runoff, it should be John Horn and somebody else, not John Horn and Chokwe.
Well, it really shouldn't even be.
And only way that's going to happen is
Right.
not vote for John Horn.
Well, true. But
Okay.
I want my Republican people in Jackson, Mississippi to get out and vote in the Democratic primary for David Archie. David Archie is the only man. And like I said, there are a couple of other good people, but David Archie is the only man on the ballot for the Democratic mayoral primary that I know will not bend to corruption, because he hasn't yet, and he could have a long time ago.
And at the St. Patty's Day massacre, he was the one breaking up the fight.
Yes,
in front of the governor's mansion.
Yes, if you look closely, it's David Archie in there. I didn't see him, but someone commented on the post, I see David Archie in there, and he said, yes, that was me. He had a rally last night that I could not make it. I wanted to, but I couldn't make it over there for it. But David is the one. I'm telling, if people would look at why David got drug out of the boardroom, the Hinds County boardroom supervisors meeting, it was because he was asking about money. It wasn't because he was throwing a fit because he wasn't getting his way. It was because they had presented him with money numbers that had changed from the last time he looked at it until the time that I look at it now. And he wanted to discuss it, and they told him to shut up, and he was not going to do it. And they escorted. Marshawn Chrysler came up behind him and removed him from his seat.
And you know where he is now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, but the reality is that's what's going on in the government. The government they're running numbers all around us. It's the supervisors in Hinds County, Madison County.
They are.
All of these cities that that get embedded with 35-year plus management people in office.
Yep.
They think that it's their city. They can do what they want to with the money because nobody cares. Nobody shows up to vote. Only 20% of the people are going to show up and vote. It doesn't really matter.
13.
We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to take a break, and we'll be back right here. I'm Chip Matthews. She's Taylor Turcottee, and we'll be right back here on WYAB. The music. Whoa. And more of the full story. I'm Chip Matthews. She is Taylor Turcottee.
Yep.
And of course, we'll be back at 9 o'clock with the Chip Matthews Show.
Yep.
Okay, so
Let's talk about it. Chip.
you want to talk about Elon?
I want to talk. Do you know where Elon's been? Where's
Elon?
Elon?
At the Pentagon.
Elon was at the Pentagon on Friday having meetings, and they're all worried that he's given the secrets, that they're briefing Elon on China.
But what really is happening as he doges the city?
Yes. What happened on September 10th, 2001, Chip?
I'm going to let you take this lead. Yeah.
On September, the day before September 11th, and the two planes hit the Twin Towers, the Pentagon announced that they had lost $2.1 trillion. Now, how over what period of time had they lost that $2 trillion? I don't know either, but if they had lost 2.3 trillion back then, how much have they lost between now and then?
It's sort of like the Madison County supervisors. They lose $1.5 million, $2 million all the time and go,
exactly.
We'll find it.
And so here we go into Elon's going into the Pentagon to find. That is where all of the money. This is when everybody is going to turn white when we find out what they have been doing with our money.
Okay.
We're going to turn white.
I heard you say that. I was just biting my tongue.
I mean, 2.3 trillion. And that was in 2001. That was 24 years ago.
Look,
2.3 trillion. What are we looking at now?
How much did we leave on the battlefield at Afghanistan? Just to the left.
Oh my gosh.
So this is we're getting caught giving stuff away. So let's just leave it on the ground and give it to the other country. They can pick it up and use it.
What?
I mean, that's the same thing.
Are people going to start waking up when you start realizing that our national debt, that every year we wasted what we owe in our national debt every year? I'd be willing to bet that we've wasted as much money as we spend in deficit.
And the thing is, the money's gone. It's not in any bank account.
Who are we in debt to?
We're in debt.
Who holds our debt, the strings to our debt? Is it banks? Is it other countries? Who do we owe the national debt to?
I mean,
why do we care about keeping it up? I don't care about the country's credit rating. I'd rather them not loan any more money to my country.
Yeah, but I mean, the other side of that, I think China is only like 20%.
I know. Who do we owe this money to?
They say we owe the Swedish people more money than anybody else.
Yeah. And how much do we give them?
But the reality is, all of those European Union, we protect them.
Exactly.
We do all of that.
Exactly. And we have wasted all of our debt comes from protecting them. And now we are going to pay them back. They hold our debt. We have run up our debt protecting them. And now we're going to pay them back the debt. I'd rather them write me a check than pay off the debt that I didn't run up.
Well, here's the reality.
That's like spending on my credit card and then saying, oh yeah, but we're going to use your money to pay off the credit card that we put all the money on.
And I think we have another crypto meeting today with the president.
Yeah.
Or something. What's about to happen is XRP and all of this crypto. I mean, I know this is French to some of y'all.
Yeah. But I need to learn French.
But all of this is fixing to be able to, and you're going to revalue the gold.
Right.
That's in Fort Knox, if it's there.
If there's not any gold, and are you kidding me?
But if we revalue everything, all of a sudden, everybody owes us. Mm-hmm. And it must be that way that everybody already owes us.
Exactly.
Through the shell game that goes on.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, you would close you'd close the debt. You'd say that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if the money stopped moving from America, the whole world would stop.
Stop. Exactly.
So
it's a scam. They have been scamming us with our own national debt.
Oh yeah. It's the big scam.
Yep.
And
and everybody needs to be held accountable.
And they take everything they can from us that they can take from us, and that's just the way it is.
Yep.
And we need to wake up and do something about it.
We do. Wake up.
I mean, because Benny Thompson, y'all.
Because if you don't wake up, you're going to be waking up unpleasantly.
We're about 13 months from the next election.
We are.
And we got to get rid of Benny Thompson.
I think we're going to have an option. I think we can do it this year.
Okay. But people need to start talking about it. And then we also need to be worried about these supervisor races.
Yep.
They're 13 months away also.
Yep.
And in Madison County, we need to fix some people. Hinds County, we need to fix some people.
Well, I think you can break it down and say every year there's going to be an election that will have consequences. going forward. Every year, there's some sort of an election that we need to be involved in.
That's correct. Well, we should be involved in every election.
That's what I'm saying.
Period.
Every year.
Every year.
This is not something that's
We've
going
got
away
to
every
get back
year.
to, we've got to get back to being the Americans that we heard about growing up.
Yep.
And when I say
The
that,
greatest generation.
I mean, they would have never not voted.
No.
Never.
No.
Red, white, and blue. And somebody burned a flag. I still don't know why Trump hadn't done something about that yet, to where if you ever burn an American flag again,
Right.
you go to jail. That's what should be happening. Free speech, damn free speech when it comes to burning an American flag.
Well,
That shouldn't be a free speech.
well, maybe it should be more of, if you're going to burn a flag, then give up your citizenship.
Okay, Taylor. We're going to be back in 9 o'clock.
I guess so.
So say goodbye, Taylor Turcottee.
Goodbye, Taylor Turcottee.
And y'all vote for her in the election. I'm Chip Matthews. I'm running for mayor of Canton, Mississippi. Y'all make sure you vote for me in the general election.
Me in the general as well.
Both of us will not be on the deck for
April
April
1st.
Fool's Day.
Mm-mm.
So y'all have fun. We'll see y'all back at 9.